Find other great podcasts like this one at podmoth.network.
Hey, Alyssa, do those look like lights in the distance?
Yeah, they do.
Does it look like they're staring at us?
You said lights, not eyes.
I think those might be eyes.
Let's go. Hello, Hauntlings. My name is Alyssa, here with my ghoulishly gorgeous wife and co-host, Lindsay. This is Macabatmidnight, where we rate all things that sit on a scale, starting with the adorably spooky and ending with the truly disturbing. On tonight's episode, we're going to be talking about
The Rake.
and not the kind that you use in your yard in the autumn for leaves.
No. This is the Creepypasta turned Cryptid.
Just a couple of things before we get started here. I'm still sick, guys. I'm always sick. I live sick. So yeah, if I sound like plugged up, again, I apologize that you guys have to listen to I sound like a rake, to be quite honest with you.
Oh, no, you sound a lot better than what rakes sound like. Trust me on that one.
Oh my god.
Once you hear what a rake sounds like, you'll never want to hear it again. Yeah. And hopefully you never will.
Yeah, I hope so.
Oh, yeah. Just as a reminder, we are only posting once a week now, just to let up some stress and not be stretched out as thin.
This will be our last double week, because we did record this on a week that we posted already. But this is being posted the week after, so the research may not be as... I know that makes no sense. But the point is, okay, the research may not be as in-depth on this one, because this one was researched while we were doing twice a week. So if it's not as in-depth as the ones that are going on from here on out, that is why.
I will say, just on our subject today, there's not a whole lot of information out there anyways. So
you did what you could.
Yeah, I found every source that I could.
That was just like with the black-eyed children phenomenon, which interestingly... Do you remember whenever I told you I was researching the alien greys and I just kept finding PBS?
Yeah.
The same thing happened with black-eyed children. It was the same article over and over again. It was so freaking weird. Some of these things is just really hard to find information on.
Yeah, so what comes up when you search up the Rake? It's mostly just, of course, the Creepypasta, which is where this whole thing originated from.
Right.
And then, the dictionary version of that. And then everything after that is just Reddit forums, videos of people supposedly citing these things.
I believe there is an episode of, we're not sponsored, but there's an episode of Paranormal Insider where they actually discuss rakes and rake sightings. So do you remember that episode? Did you watch that episode?
No, wait, maybe. That's not where
I'll see if I can find some of the footage from that while you're telling us about it, because they had some creepy...
Well, I mean, I've watched quite a few collection of videos on supposed, sightings of these things, and some of them are very unsettling.
Yeah.
Some of them are, they look very not real. I mean...
very obviously.
Yeah, some of them are really questionable, but then there are ones that are ugh. Ooh, what am I looking at? And if I'm looking at what I think I'm looking at, I don't want it.
Ugh.
I don't want any of that.
That is one thing I do want to tell you guys before we get too far into this, is I know we haven't been upkeeping the Instagram.
Yeah.
Again.
Or the TikTok.
Again, that comes back to us trying to free our time up,
Yeah. So you'll see more content on those platforms as well, keeping up with our episodes.
Yeah.
From now on.
Again, as I said in the very, very first late episode, I got a little overly ambitious. So, but hopefully with the weekly posts, we'll be able to update the Instagram and stuff more as well. I know, from Vlad on, I had no pictures posted, and I'm sorry about that. But we're working to get better.
Yeah.
So.
We definitely want to improve for you all, so keep listening.
Anyway, sorry. I wanted to say that while I was thinking.
Well, let me put it in perspective for you. So, the Rake is said to be unusually tall, pale, hairless, and humanoid. It usually crouches and walks on all fours. They have glowing eyes, and then they have long, thin appendages. They actually got their names because their fingers are long,
Rake-like,
and clawed like rake-like. I will say they usually appear emaciated and like skeleton looking.
That kind of. Okay, go on. But I just made a connection already to like one of our first episodes.
Okay, so usually these things, like I said, they're usually seen from a distance. Now, I couldn't find where they live, where they inhabit, but I did see like a trend in all the video and the quote unquote sightings that were recorded on them. They seem to be they make home in the woods, the forest, any area that's thickly wooded, thickly forested, and abandoned homes and buildings.
Okay, can I just say something?
Yeah, go ahead.
Wendigo. Yeah.
They are similar.
Yeah, like that's exactly when you said emaciated.
Yeah.
Like these sound like already, like right off the bat, they sound a lot like Wendigos.
Yeah, so that actually is one of my theories that we're probably going to go over more in detail.
Okay, I won't give any more theories, but I just like,
Yeah. So the Rake though, they're a little different than Wendigo in the aspect. Like, they do live in the woods. Okay, yeah, you see them from a distance, usually glowing eyes. That's the first indication that they're nearby, other than the awful sounds that they make. And I will play some of those for you, by the way. They're terrible. They're terrifying. I hate them. I hate all of them. Okay, so you'll see from a distance, usually glowing eyes. Now, these creatures don't like to be seen. So when they are seen, they try to stay out of sight.
Okay.
However, if you happen to see one and you approach it,
I don't want to know what happens.
These things will stand. They will stand, and they're over 6 feet tall, standing, and they will attack you.
Why would you approach one though?
Because you're nuts.
Okay, are there like records of attacks?
Yes, kind of.
Kind of?
Yes.
Yes? You're saying yes, but your body language is saying no.
Because, I mean, these stories they're stories, like, so can't say whether or not they're real or if they're really sourced because it came from a creepypasta.
Yeah, but I have a theory that we'll get into at the end of this. But anyway, go on.
But yeah, so you mentioned attacks. Yeah, there was one story that specifically described an attack on a woman.
Oh.
Specifically, the woman woke in the middle of the night to find this creature sitting at the foot of her bed.
I'm not sleeping tonight. Are you fucking kidding me?
No. So she woke up and saw this creature sitting at the foot of her bed. And this was after she wakes up and she's been having horrific nightmares because that's what they do. When you're not watching them, they like to sneak up all stealthily, creep in along the ground like they do.
Stop! Why are you painting such a vivid picture?
Because. And then they'll crawl into your window.
What is this?
That's their long limbs slicking down over the window.
I hate you.
And they do it in complete silence, so you can't hear them.
Well, to be fair, I guess we don't have to worry about it because we have one that lives with us. And I'm pretty sure if anything tried to get in the window, she'd start, our Rake barks, it doesn't scream.
And so once it's in your room, it will sit and watch you sleep and induce terrifying nightmares and watch you struggle with them for a little while. Then when it thinks you're nice and ready, it'll lacerate you to death with its long rake-like claws.
What do you mean when you're nice and ready? Is it marinating you?
When it has I guess when it's induced enough terror.
What does that do for it? If it's just slicing you apart.
I don't know, but that's just how they kill. I mean, if you're not brave enough or stupid enough to approach it, and then it decides to stand up and come after you right then.
No.
So, yeah, and you asked if there were other accounts of attacks. So there was one which I thought was a little questionable, but it was a video. And we'll probably have all these videos that I'm talking about, referenced in the notes. In the notes to this podcast. In this video, there's two guys. They look like they live right on the edge of the woods. And they're coming around to the back of the house. There's no context as to why. Maybe they heard some sounds. I don't know. But one of them has the camera and the other one's just like walking along with him. And they both stop because right at the back of the house is this weird pale looking figure. And it's like laying on the ground. And again, there's no context as to why it's laying on the ground or why it's on the ground at the time. It's not like crouched. It's just like sprawled out on the ground.
Okay. It's Uncle Bob after a night of drinking.
Okay. Yeah. It's a little too pale looking for that.
Uncle Bob don't get to the beach much.
Okay. Well, does he also not eat? Because
he might have a bit of a problem. Okay.
I'd say he does if he does this next thing that he does.
Okay. What are you doing, Uncle Bob?
So one of the guys who does not have the camera, he like looks at his friend and he turns and he runs off. Okay. He just bolts. He's like, no, I'm out of here. I'm not dealing with this. I don't know what that is and I don't want any of it.
Me right now.
And
bye.
The camera guy is just like, hey, where are you going? Like, dude, where are you going?
Don't just leave me here.
Yeah, and when the camera guy turns around, because he's yelling in the direction that he's facing, so he has the camera in the direction that he's facing. So he turns around, and this thing is on its feet now.
Oh, no.
And it lunges at him.
Would you say this is like a case of, like, if you're walking in the woods with someone and there's a bear, you push them over? So that you can make it. Like the guy with the camera's the pushover.
Yeah, this is very much like it gave off vibes of like better you than me.
That's so dumb. Listen, I know I know me, and my thing is like I grab who I'm with and make them run with me. Now I've never had to face a rake or a bear, but like you think about concerts we've gone to whenever a mosh pit has started. I have grabbed you and like yanked you through to get the hell out.
You think that would be the thing, like, oh, I gotta save both of us, but nah, sometimes people are just like, no, you, bye.
God.
You think you know someone, and then something bad happens.
They shove you over and let a bear eat you, okay?
Yeah.
You think be careful who you make friends with. All right.
Listen, I'm just saying, if someone ever did that to me, if I died, I would haunt the earth forever. I'd be like, this is your fault. It's your fault I'm here. Like, so I'm gonna haunt you.
You're like, you think Uncle Bob was bad. All right. Look at what he did to me. Now look at what I'm gonna do to you. Uncle Bob would have been a blessing on your ass after.
And if I survived, I'd be like suing them for all my medical bills. Be like, now you gotta pay my hospital bills because you left me for dead.
And I gave Uncle Bob your address. He's coming for you.
Yeah, exactly. I'll be like, oh, next year, after I'm all healed up, we'll just go to that same spot. I'll meet you there. So... Anyway, this thing is on its feet when the cameraman turns around, and it lunges at him, and the guy falls backward. And like from the camera angle that he falls, you can see like the side of his head, and the camera is just able to catch the glimpse of this thing like on him, like doing these awful sounds, screaming, and it's like throwing its hands around like it's like lacerating him.
Oh.
And that's the end of the video. That's just it.
Can you see it lacerating him?
You can't.
I just don't want to see the video, okay? That's all I'm saying, is I don't want to see that.
You can't really see, like, this part of his body, like, from his chest or anything. You just see its arms going like this.
But
like,
you can't see, like,
around.
any blood or anything? Okay, because, like, I don't, like, yeah. Okay.
I mean, that's just, like, one example. Now, this video, I think, personally, I'm a little skeptical on whether or not it's legit. But I imagine, like, if you did approach a rake, that's probably how it would go down.
Okay. So this is less like this is real, and this is more...
Yeah,
I believe this is what would happen if...
I mean, if you watch the video, it's kind of like, is this a real thing, or, like, is that just a person in a costume?
Right.
Like...
I feel like if it were a real thing, honestly, this would be like a secure, contain, protect type deal, and the government would have taken the phone and the camera and, like, locked it away under the White House.
It felt very, like Blair Witchy. But
Okay.
I think that's the general idea, is that the Rakes would, there'd be no mercy. If they caught you, you would be torn to shreds.
Very animalistic.
Oh, yes. Yes. And there are other videos I've seen of them, like people just exploring, like, say, an abandoned house in the middle of the woods. Because a lot of these abandoned houses that they are said to dwell in, or live around, are in the middle of the woods.
Right.
You know, like they're just overgrown, lost in time, or whatever the reason. So urban explorers or whoever will go into these places, and sometimes they happen upon something they didn't expect to see. One of the videos I saw was like, you could see it poking up, like peeking up over the edge of like a window that had been broken out.
That's the one that was on the Paranormal Insider. I know which one you're talking about, because you see it a few times, right?
Yeah, and then you see its arm like come in, and like it's climbing in. Yeah. And the person is like, "Oh no!" And they like get out. They're like, "This, I'm leaving. I don't know what that is."
I will say that one did look very, like, it didn't look like it was in a costume. And like the Rake started on Creepypasta.
Yes.
But I have a theory on how this could have potentially come into being, and we'll get into that when we get into theories.
Yeah, yeah.
But that video looked very authentic.
Yeah, there was another one I saw that I thought probably looked really pretty real. It was the setting was again in another abandoned house. This person, this investigator, urban explorer, whatever they were sitting in this room where they were facing like a doorway or window that had been boarded up, but you could still kind of like see through the boards.
Yeah.
And they were like shining their flashlight over there because they could see something like kind of moving, like up and down, like it was trying to peek through the boards.
Oh God, I hate that.
And then you could see its fingers like slip in through the cracks and like kind of pull at the planks.
What did the fingers look like?
They were just like really long, pale, and like kind of pointed at the end.
Oh no!
And it just kept doing that. And then like the people, I think they left after that, but that to me was just like another like, I don't know what's on the other side of that, but I don't want to know.
That is really
I don't want to
creepy.
find out.
Even if it's not real, okay, it's creepy and I hate it. Okay. Oh God.
There's a lot of videos of people like going out to the woods at night. Like there was this one video of this guy, I guess he was looking for his cat in the middle of the night.
Oh,
his cat had escaped. And so, like, he must have lived, like, right on the woods or, like, near the woods, whatever. Maybe he was looking into the woods. I don't know. But, like, when he steps outside, you see where, like, the light from the camera kind of, you can see where the light of the camera fades off. And then it's just darkness and trees. Yeah. And in the distance, you see a pair of, like, glowing orbs. And at first, you think maybe it's, like,
a fox or a wolf, or something.
But they
wild animal.
You could see it actually blink, and it like the way it blinks is almost too slow to be an animal.
Like it's like purposely slow.
Yeah, it's like deliberately blink.
But cats will blink like that, and it could be a puma.
Yeah,
because puma is a cat. You know, and I mean, you think about it, cats will slow blink. Usually they're telling you they love you when they do it, but
right.
Maybe it loves the idea of nomming on his, I don't know.
That could be the case. I mean, I don't know, because where he was looking, it was like complete darkness. And so usually that happens when light refracts off the eyes, but
I don't know. That's gross. Either way, whether it's a fucking puma or a rake, it's scary. Puma will do the same thing to you a goddamn rake will do. And we know pumas are real.
There was one more video I want to tell you about before I read into a little bit of what I have here on where the rake came about.
Okay.
This one, I'm not sure if it's real or not. It looked pretty real to me. And if it was real, it's really scary. Yeah, because these people were just like walking, like,
I just want to talk about how we just talked about going out for our anniversary into the woods.
Yeah.
Not now.
Yeah, these things live in the woods. Yeah, well, these people were just like kind of walking around, you know, like it's dark out, and So they're just like out for a night walk or whatever. I don't know what the deal is there, but they come up to something, and it's really hard to see what it is at first. It just looks like a gray blob at first until it lifts its head up. Because the way, and I say that because the way it's positioned is like, if you think of like someone in the fetal position.
Okay. Like with their head way
and
down.
And their head is tucked and they have their hands covering their face.
Oh.
That's sort of what it looked like. Actually not. This was something straight out of like a video game, horror movie scene. Okay.
I know exactly what position you're talking about.
Yes, because it lifts its head and like turns to look at him, and all you see is like, it's like skeleton-like features on its face.
Oh.
And like the glowing eyes. And then it starts to stand up, and the people are like, take off running at this point. They're like, oh my God, what's that? And they're like running.
Nope. I don't like that. That's disgusting.
I just couldn't imagine like just being out. Like, first of all, I don't even know why you wouldn't be out hiking in the middle of the night anyways, because you can't see nothing. If there's animals or bears out there, you're not going to be able to see them.
Well,
they could probably see you.
They're definitely like pumas are nocturnal. They hunt at night.
Or they could, if they can't see you, they can at least smell you.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I would not want to be in the woods in the middle of the night unless I was camping. And in that case, then I'm probably asleep at this time of night.
They generally don't come into human territory. I mean, very rarely will they come into like human areas. You know what I mean? So they're not really going to cross through your freaking tent area.
Who?
The rake will, apparently.
Oh, yeah, the rake will come in and give you bad dreams before it kills you.
But I'm talking about the pumas.
All right, I think we talked enough about, at least for now, talked enough about, like, different sightings on these things. You want to know about the origins of the rake? Like, where did this come from?
Yeah, let's get into the origin story.
Where did it start? And, like we mentioned before already, it was a creepypasta.
Good old creepypasta.
And if you're listening, you might be familiar with said creepypasta. It's called The Rake.
I think we're getting a narration.
Yeah, I'm going to read that here in a minute.
I was wrong.
So, the creepypasta story actually accounts sightings of the rake. Ironically enough, the sightings date back all the way to the 1600s.
What? Oh, wait, but it's creepypasta. Alyssa, don't get too excited.
Yeah, it was first cited in this creepypasta in a log that was supposedly written in 1691.
Okay.
And then also described in a journal entry that was translated from Spanish in 1880.
All right.
And then again in a 1964 side note.
Oh.
Yes. I actually have references to where the first description of the rake came from. And according to, this actually came straight from dictionary.com, by the way, which is funny enough. It's in the dictionary.
Oh, like the actual beast is in the dictionary?
It's in the dictionary.
Oh, I did not expect that.
Yeah, so its first appearance came from a 4chan board.
That figures.
Where somebody posted and was like, help me create this new monster. Like, what kind of attributes would you give it? And I'm going to read to you what that post said, because I found it to be a little unsettling. Okay, this comes from dictionary.com referencing that post.
Okay.
It says, here's what we've got so far. Humanoid, about 6 feet tall when standing, but usually crouches and walks on all fours. It has very pale skin. The face is blank, as in no nose and no mouth. However, it has 3 solid green eyes.
3 eyes? Okay.
One in the middle of its forehead, and the other 2 on either side of its head, towards the back.
Okay.
It's usually seen in front yards in suburban areas. Usually just watches the observer, but will stand up and attack if approached. When it attacks, a mouth opens up, as if a hinged skull that opens at the chin, which reveals many teeth, but they're all dull.
So it does have a mouth?
It's like its face split opens and it just unhinges, like from the.
Okay.
It's like the skull comes apart.
That's gross.
It has lots of teeth that are all dull.
Getting chewed on by those. That sucks.
Yeah. Well, that's not the worst part you have to worry about. It's them claws.
I don't know. It all sounds awful.
Yeah, the character's spindly limbs are low to the ground, which is how it got its name. The Rake.
I hate it so far.
Oh, but it gets better.
Or worse.
Because now I'm going to read you little clips, little snippets from its original posting on the Creepypasta.
Okay.
Just because I thought this was creepy as hell.
It is.
All right, so this is a few little snippets from the creepypasta.com. That is the original posting of the Rake, the story, the fictional story where this all kind of started. It was credited by Brian Somerville.
Okay.
Or Somerville.
And we will post it in the show notes too.
Oh yeah, that one will be posted in all of this will be posted in the notes, so you can look it up for yourself if you want to, or read the whole thing if you want to, because I'm not going to read the whole thing.
Cannot be saved. Follow me to
Weapon.
Welcome to the Ugly Radio on the Podmoth Network, a lo-fi sci-fi audio theater anthology series made for late nights and strong drinks. Join us monthly as we broadcast a pirate signal across time and space, featuring stories, songs, and frequencies from a rotating list of voice actors, writers, storytellers, and musicians. If you're looking for high-quality science fiction, skin-crawling horror, and other genre fiction, listen to The Ugly Radio on the Podmoth Network, now available wherever you get your podcasts. The Ugly Radio. See you in the void.
As the sun begins to set and the trees huddle together in small, dark groups as if shielding themselves against the coming of night, you step quietly and quickly through the carpet of fallen leaves and stray twigs, recognizing and noting as you do every rustle, every snap of the branch created by your own footfalls. You note them so that you can distinguish them from the other sounds. The soft rustling of leaves, the crack of bracken somewhere behind you. You increase your speed, knowing that night is not the only thing drawing closer. The sound increases as your pace and heartbeats quicken. You turn, and in that fading light catch a single glimpse of the hunched, crawling thing that is pursuing you. Creeping forward like an animal, and yet looking so horribly human. You only caught a single glimpse, but then you start to run. One glimpse is enough.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, that is a common thing I found when looking up rakes. They can be seen in the daylight.
What?
Now, usually they come out and will creep closer to you at night, but you can stumble across them in the day.
I hate that. I hate that so much.
Yeah, there was another video that I watched of these two guys. They were out recording just around the woods for some, I can't remember the reason, but as they were panning through the trees, they can see, they catch a glimpse of a figure, like a pale figure in the trees.
Uh-huh.
And he's pretty far away, but he's just kind of crawling around on the ground and along the trees and shit. And they're like, what is that? I think they're using a drone. They're in a car and they're using a drone, so they can't really get real close to it without damaging the drone.
Right.
Because, it's going through the trees.
Yeah.
But you can just catch a glimpse of this pale, skinny looking figure, crawling around the woods.
That's so
and this
gross.
was in the broad daylight, so.
Nope. I hate that.
So, this is supposedly just a creepypasta. I mean, I don't know. What do you think? You think this is a creepypasta, or does this have some real depth to it? Is this something that was manifested?
So here's the thing, okay? I am someone who very heavily believes in energy manifestation, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of people who have manifested things in their lives. This could be a house. This can be a spirit. There are a lot of practicing witches and pagan people who will literally manifest spirits to help them in their work. Not necessarily bad work. I'm not trying to give anyone a bad name. Now, with energy work, when a mass of people come to believe in something,
Yeah.
it creates that energy and can make it real, kind of like a tulpa.
Yeah.
So
So you think that enough, people put this out there, and so this thing kind of just became.
It's manifested. Yeah. I think that that's a possibility.
Mhm.
I think that's a possibility with any of this phenomenon, like any sort of like the black-eyed children, the shadow people, deities, gods, not necessarily gods who had like a physical form on earth, like Jesus or Buddha,
Right.
but whenever you get pagan people who are working with specific pantheons, they're channeling an energy that a mass of people believe. And a lot of times that creates that energy and turns it into a very real thing. So I think that this could be a case, that could be what we're seeing here, because this is a creepypasta. It started out as a creepypasta.
Right, yeah.
And a lot of people believe that happened with the Slender Man.
I've heard things about the Slender Man too.
Right. And I actually had another friend who was a pagan. I was very new in my pagan practices at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually learned that from her. And I found that to be true. And her example was the flying spaghetti monster.
Oh my God.
Okay. And she was like, the flying spaghetti monster exists because there's a bunch of ding-dongs out there who are saying that he's real. They're putting that energy into creating him. And she was using the Slender Man, because people were arguing about whether or not it was real. And she's like, no, it wasn't real. It was a creepypasta. And then a whole bunch of people thought it was real because
I know some people even started worshiping him and shit.
Right.
I mean, there's been people killed because of
and
Slender Man.
you remember, I don't know if you remember, but people really, they didn't know, when Slender Man came out, they were like, is this real or is this fake? People didn't know. A lot of people were really confused about it. And I think that the Rake could be something that's like that. Enough people come to think, okay, well, this isn't just a creepypasta, this is a cryptid.
Yeah.
So then it actually manifests. So that's what I think this might be.
See, another thought I had was, like you mentioned before, was that this could be another cryptid that we're just misnaming.
Right. I was going to say, or it could just be a cryptid. And, there could be accounts of this thing. It's tall, it's skinny, it's pale. It sounds like a gray to me.
That was one of the theories I did come across when I was researching the Rake, is that a lot of people think that it's just aliens that they're seeing. It's not actually this thing.
Right.
That it's just some kind of gray monster, like a gray. It's an alien.
Could be and we talk about different levels of alien grays, how there's the short ones and then there's the tall, intelligent ones. Who's to say that there's not another hybrid type or another type of gray? You know what I mean? They talk about there being different levels.
Right, yeah.
So who knows? This could be another type of gray because it sounds like a gray when you describe it with the frickin' skin and the bald head and the humanoid, tall, thin body and long fingers.
Yeah, and I'm thinking even more so with the description of the 3 eyes, but everything that I've seen in the videos, they only have 2 eyes.
Yeah, the 3 eyes was new to me.
That could just be what was said on 4chan.
Yeah, you said that was a help me create situation.
Yeah, yeah, that's where the description was coined from. Right.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, when you were looking up Wendigos, I know this was quite a while ago, but did you ever find any record of what they sounded like?
So there was, I told you there was one thing that said that they did, they would mimic voices. That was more attributed to skinwalkers, but I did find one account that said that they would mimic human voices. I believe, though, that they were animalistic. Hold on, we'll be right back. Okay, so they can mimic voices, they whistle, and they can scream.
Okay.
One thing, too, that I think is important to keep in mind with the Wendigo, since we're bringing it into the Rake conversation. A lot of people have that pop culture idea of what a Wendigo looks like in their head.
Yeah, like you said, like how they look like in Until Dawn, where they are that.
Right. So in pop culture, they look like a very large, like 10-foot beast with like a giant like mule skull head or like a deer skull head. That is not what the Wendigo is traditionally thought to look like. The natives thought that the Wendigo was an emaciated entity with pale skin, and like their flesh was like their lips were torn up because they had this like. It was basically it was like a zombie, like a gray zombie.
Which is, if you've ever played or seen Until Dawn, I think you posted pictures from that,
I did,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, they stuck very true to how the traditional Wendigo was supposed to look.
Yes.
With the pale skin, the glazed over milky eyes.
Yeah.
The decaying lips, the sharp teeth and claws.
They look like a Rake.
They look a lot similar to Rakes. Except I believe the difference there was that those Wendigo were blind and can only see by movement.
Yeah, and that's not necessarily accurate.
So, I'm curious. I did find what is supposed to be the sound of a Rake.
Oh no!
I'm gonna play that for you. I don't know if this would sound anything similar to what a Wendigo is supposed to sound like, because unlike the Wendigo, Rakes only make weird, like, screaming sounds
that we know, that we like.
At least that I could find.
Right.
I couldn't find anything where they actually can mimic voices or anything like that. They just sound very animalistic. So I'm gonna play that real quick. It's just a short play.
And you're sure that these aren't pumas that you're playing?
Maybe, I don't know. It's just
okay.
It's labeled Rake sound.
Because pumas sound.
So
also,
I'll give it a listen, and you tell me what you think.
Okay. Oh, okay. So I think that Rakes are in distant relation to our puma friends because they have claws and glowing eyes, and they scream like pumas.
Is that how a puma sounds when it yells?
Have you heard? Let me play a clip of a puma.
Okay. Yeah, I've never heard a puma scream or anything.
I have heard a puma scream, and we heard it when we were like camping. It was the middle of the night. We were sleeping. We were camping, and we could hear them freaking screaming. And my mom was like waking my dad up. I was very young, and she's like, "What the hell is that?" And it was freaking the scariest shit I've ever heard in my life. So let me see if I can find this.
Now, it wouldn't surprise me if they made some funny sounds because they're a cat. Cats make all kinds of weird sounds. I have a cat or two.
Yep. All right, are you ready?
Yeah. That sounds like a person.
That's a puma.
Oh my god. Well, now you guys know if you're ever out in the woods or somewhere in the mountains and you hear that, it's not someone getting murdered. It's a cat. It's a big cat.
It's just yelling. It's, if you think you're being followed by a Rake and you want to come back to reality, you could always just tell yourself it's a puma. Okay.
Either way, it's not safe if it's either of those things. Not safe to be there, not safe to be around. So
get out.
Probably get out of there as fast as you can and pretend you never saw it or heard it in the first place.
Yeah.
Because if this is in the woods and around the Appalachian areas, you know the rule.
Yeah. You didn't hear it.
You didn't hear it. You didn't see it.
Yep.
Just nope out of there as fast as you can.
Yep.
So, Liz,
Eldritch Abomination. This is an Eldritch Abomination.
What's your reasoning on that?
Do I need to reason this?
Well, I don't know. Do you believe it's real then? I mean, do you think this is something that came from fiction to life?
Could be. And if it's not real, I'm scared of it. It doesn't matter. Eldritch Abomination. I wouldn't want to run. I am greatly worried about our trip. on our 3 year now. Like, I don't like it.
It will be okay. You just gotta make sure that you are paying attention to your surroundings. Lock your windows at night. Lock your doors. Don't let them in your room.
How are we going to sit in the hot tub drinking wine?
Well, they don't approach you if they are caught.
I don't want to see them. So they only approach you if you approach them?
Yes. But if they're, most of the time, they just observe from a distance.
That's disgusting, though, still. I don't like that. We're only getting in the hot tub during the day.
I think we'll be okay. We have 2 little alarm clocks with us.
Great, not better. They're just gonna freaking, like, this one will chase after it because she'll think she found one of her kind. Okay.
I don't know what to rate this.
Let me rate it for you. Eldritch Abomination.
I think it could be on that level, yeah.
Yeah, whether it's real or not.
I think I could agree with that. This thing is really, if it somehow became real from the fiction, or even if the fiction wasn't, as fiction as it seems.
Or even if it is just fiction, a compound of human mind, like, humans came up with something real fucked up.
Or maybe even if it's just a Wendigo. Wendigos are gross too.
Yeah.
So
also Eldritch Abomination.
No matter which way you look at it, it's still really scary, and I would never want to meet it. Like, let's not meet.
Let's not meet.
Let's, like, Rake, let's not meet.
Just stay the fuck away. Forever. Wait, hold on though. I'm gonna poke a hole in your story here.
Okay.
Because you said they don't approach you.
Yeah.
But they'll come into your room if you're sleeping.
I mean, if they want to kill you, yeah. That's how they kill people. Well, that was one account. I don't think there's any more accounts on that.
Okay, so that was
specifically, that's just what it said.
Okay.
That they do. It's something they do.
I have actually, like, listened to other creepypasta stories, like, where that has happened, so that might be where that came from.
Yeah.
So that might not even,
that was just, like, another, like, story about the Rake.
Hypothetically, if they were real, that might not even really be in there. They might be like a wild animal that just observes.
Yeah, from everything else kind of suggested that they just observe you unless you try to go near them.
Do you like how I'm telling myself this so that I can stand the thought of going to the cabin? Oh, God. But yeah, you guys, let us know what you think. Do you think this is adorably spooky? If you do, then you're nuts. Or do you think this is truly disturbing, or is it something worse? Is it something beyond? Is it an eldritch abomination? And if you enjoyed this episode of Macabatmidnight and you want to hear about more spooky stuff, then you can catch us wherever you listen to your podcasts and YouTube. You can also help us out by liking, rating, commenting, and subscribing. We are always looking to improve, and we want to hear what you guys have to say. You can also follow us on Instagram, X, and TikTok. And if you want to hear us talk about something that fits on the scale of screams, or you have an experience and short work of your own horror fiction that you'd like us to share in our listener library, then just shoot us an email at macabatmidnight@outlook.com. Until then, remember to lock your doors, sprinkle a little bit of salt in the carpet, check under your bed, stay spooky, and we will see you in your nightmares.
Remember, if you hear screams or see glowing eyes in the woods, no, you didn't.